Missouri's new lieutenant governor is criticizing the General Assembly, calling the state Senate inefficient. He claims infighting and refusal to reach across the aisle is hurting you.
Missouri Capitol reporter Hannah Falcon sat down with the lieutenant governor, hearing his complaints. He's taking them to senators to find out what can be done.
Missouri's lieutenant governor is a political newcomer, and there's one thing he's tired of hearing.
If the answer, and they don't know the answer to it, we've always done it that way as to why we're doing it. We've crossed that out, and here's the sign on my desk.
Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger ruffled some feathers when he announced to the Missouri Senate that he wants to change some rules.
If you have any suggested changes to the way this body operates, please contact Katie or contact me directly.
I dug through state house records for each of Missouri's neighbors to find out how many bills these states have passed this year. Historically, all of these states passed hundreds of bills every year, while Missouri has not passed triple digits since 2018.
They're circumventing the state legislature because the state legislature is not getting its job done.
Wassinger points to sports betting, paid sick leave, and recreational marijuana, things passed by initiative petition instead of the legislator.
So our Missouri Constitution is probably 50 times longer than the United States Constitution.
The highest-ranking Republican in the Missouri Senate, Senator Cindy O'Laughlin, took to Facebook to air her thoughts on Wassinger's complaints. She says he doesn't have the authority to change rules. Writing, finding a way to get 34 people to cross the finish line without an explosion is quite demanding. She went on to say one way to be helpful is not to insult the entire Senate body in a 5-minute speech.
My office is always open.
This week, the Missouri legislature will work on its only constitutional duty, which is balancing the state budget. Senator Lincoln Huff heads up the budget for the Missouri Senate. He responds to Wassinger's comments by inviting him to come in for a conversation.
In my opinion, we run as open and transparent budget process as there is in this business, okay?
Lawmakers have to finish the budget by this Friday. Then they have 1 week left to work on any other bills. Republican leadership says they want to tackle some controversial issues in that time, including abortion and paid sick leave. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon, First Alert 4.
Happening